Okay, welcome everybody to the Hannah City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, July 20th, 2021 for our people online and joining in via Zoom. So at this time, would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then for a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Something we do have a quorum in-house for Zach to still participate since he is online as a board member.
We're still good. Yeah, we're still good.
Well, we already
through the 24th. We're good.
Never mind. That's next meeting. Never mind. Okay. So recognitions of guests. First, we got George Hunter, Gaming Cafe.
Yes.
You can stand up or sit down. Doesn't matter, George.
I'll sit because I just ate over there, man. I currently own a cafe in Pekin, going on 6 years, and have been looking to expand. We created a LLC in January, and then with COVID and everything, everything's pushed back. But I have nieces that live here that are going to help out with the production. Dawn, what did you say?
Yeah, I live on Pinkerton.
Pinkerton, and Danielle.
Just a uncle.
And we wanted to bring a cafe style to this area. Feel like it would be beneficial for not only the city, but there's a lot of people that don't like the bar scene. I mean, the ladies that get their hair done are not going to game at the taverns or bars. But I feel like what we've done in Pekin, tax dollars are substantial. Did I send you a copy?
You did.
Okay.
Yeah. I think seeing all that. We went through that at the last meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I just, I think we've got a good model through the portfolio that I've sent. And we want to be part of the community too. I mean, I was up talking to the girls and like Little Leagues, we'd like to sponsor teams or do the vendors within our business. We've done that in Pekin for like Scentsy and jewelry and candles. We offered free booths, 4 hours, and it went pretty well. We had 9 vendors, and we also like to do I don't know if any of you guys have heard of the women like the wine and paint, where they paint and they have wine. We like to offer that. We've done it once and it was pretty good. We just feel like we got a good plan, and we're hoping that maybe, after seeing what we've got laid out, that you guys would be more apt to put something like that here.
Yeah. So the way the process works for us is at this point, both our gaming licenses and our liquor licenses are capped. So we don't have any more. So the first process for us isn't really even about you guys.
Okay.
It's about, do we want to increase the number of gaming licenses, and do we want to increase the number of liquor licenses that would allow a gaming cafe or something that needed those in order to come in.
I think you talked to me about that in the beginning.
So those are the first 2 steps that we would go through. But now your information gives us good information as to what you would want to do with those.
Right.
And so it helps us understand, what would be coming to the community.
One other thing, we're not looking for a full liquor license. Hopefully, we can do just beer and wine.
The way our licenses are set up is we only have
the one.
Yeah, we have package, or we have bar.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd probably do very little.
Understand. Yeah. And the other point is ours are annual, so maybe everybody's are, and Pekin it might be annual
It's annual.
too. Yeah, so they get renewed every year. So it's not a guarantee that you have the same opportunity
Right.
next year. It would be based upon this group's feeling of how things went. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So does any of the board have any more questions for them? How often do you guys hold other events within your guys' gaming?
Well, we probably put on 3 a year. We've done some fundraisers for benefits, put $100 baskets together. But we pick and choose those because they'll be knocking on the door every month. And we limited it to 5 last year.
Yeah, nothing downside of them, and that's a good for the community. That's why I was asking as far as what other, how often you guys have those, because I know there's a lot of people that drive all the way into Peoria, East Peoria, to do the paint nights and things like that. So
Right.
because they don't have a lot of opportunities out this side of Peoria for
Right.
something like that.
We keep it pretty clean, and we don't allow any riffraff to cause commotion. We try to cut that off. We get that in Pekin. I don't know that we get much of that here.
So do you have a full bar in Pekin, or you just have
Just
beer and wine?
beer and wine.
So you just have a cooler, or
I have a beverage cooler. Yeah. All our beverages, non-alcoholic, are free. Those are courtesy: tea, coffee, soda, water. And
Is
that's
this
the way.
something that would have food to it?
This one will have food, minimal food, like cheeseburgers. Most of the things we buy from Costco are microwave or air fryer. So, because we don't have a vent where we're at.
Right.
It's minimal. I left you a copy of the old menu that we had.
yeah, that was all. We distributed that at the last meeting, so
Okay.
they've seen all that.
Yeah.
Talk through that a little bit, so they have a pretty good idea of what we're talking about. And the person that just spoke online is Ron Billy. I don't know if you met Ron or not. He's the property owner.
I've heard of Ron. Hi, Ron.
He's the
I
one.
do.
He's the one that's got the. He's leasing the property, or would be leasing the property.
What is the general demographic of clientele that you guys get at that location? Is it the same kind of you're looking for here?
I'd say 25 to 85. I'd say more or less 35 to 55 is, 60%.
Okay.
I said we get the younger kids every now and then, 25. They come in with a buddy, they tag team in, 220s. And sometimes they get lucky and sometimes they don't. The old ladies that, are by themselves, their husbands have passed on and everything they own's paid for, and they go get their hair done and they're not ready to go home. They like come in, have a cup of coffee, bottle of water, and throw a few 20s in there and play 9 cents and see if they can't win 12. But, it's fun. And I think cafes generate about 30% more than what a restaurant or bar does in revenue.
So that was interesting to me. In preparation for this, I have a friend that's in the gaming business, works for the gaming companies, sell with the machines and facilities. He told me the same thing, which was surprising to me, but he said a lot more people like to not be around the bar, and it's kind of almost a more incognito way to game.
It's low key.
Yeah.
It's quiet. I'm going to let my girlfriend go to a cafe way before I let her go down the tavern. Yeah.
Sure.
But
Is there a minimum age restriction?
yes, 21.
You got to be 21. So
21.
people can't bring kids or anything.
When we do dinners, like we'll do a mozzarella, salad, and garlic bread, we have the restriction tape
All you have to do is put a barrier with the
to stay in compliance.
theater barrier.
and then children can come in. And we don't put those out every day because we want to enforce the 21-year-old. But when we do dinners, and we do those. So we've even had a retirement party there, a baby shower. And they were friends of ours, so they were just looking for a place. We offered it, and we told them this side of the building is going to be open for gaming because that's our bread and butter. And then you guys can use this side there. So it's 20, 25 people. This is a real nice space. It's pretty good size.
Yeah. There's a karate place next door, so there's a lot of kids there on certain nights.
Yeah,
so
that was one of the reasons I'm asking.
Hers.
Oh yeah, mine did karate. Yeah.
Yeah, they did karate.
But I mean, it's been open for such a long time, that space. And I was thinking about who would utilize it or who could utilize it. But
Sure.
I've heard a lot of people wanting to have something like this, more like a relaxed cafe atmosphere. Not so much to walk away from the karate to go gamble, but it's still another spot,
Sure.
so.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I did some studying on this. Your demographics are running between 40 and 70 years old. Out of those 40 and 70 years old, you've got about 75% of that crowd that doesn't even drink.
Correct.
And he is right. They're looking for a spot. They'll take their cars. They'll park them on the sides of the building to try and make sure nobody sees them. It's a very quiet crowd that comes into these, especially if they're serving some type. That's why I asked about the food, especially if they're serving some type of food. It becomes a restaurant with the gambling machines in the back corner.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that say they're on the way to the grocery store.
What are the normal hours of operation?
We're running 8 to 11 during the week, and then 8 to midnight Friday and Saturday. Sundays are 10 to 11.
In the morning?
8 in the morning, yes.
Yeah, okay. You do have a base that actually likes to gamble from about 8 to noon.
I do.
Yeah.
I get a few coffee drinkers that come in, and they're retired, and they like to have a cup of coffee, sit and game.
I know where you get some good coffee.
He's building the coffee shop.
Yeah.
That's his place.
Nice place.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Everybody's anxiously awaiting. Like, I need good
It's
coffee.
coming. It's coming.
Come on.
Nobody more anxious than Tom.
A VIP member of the group took a tour unexpectedly today.
I'd like a tour.
Stop in.
It's Megan Welker, by the way.
Hi, Megan.
So in terms of timeline, we'll have further discussion about it tonight. It'll be August 3rd will be the earliest that we could vote on anything. Just the way the government works, we have to post stuff.
Process.
Go through the whole thing.
And then my side, it's a process too. These machines don't come here next week.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, there's a
You
lot.
got to
Of,
get your liquor
there's
license.
a lot of legwork with the state to be
the
done.
locals in the state, and you got to get
Health department and so on. And finding good contractors is sometimes tougher than you think. I mean, we like to use local if they're available, but we've ran into the problem where they're booked out the rest of the year.
Sure.
And then we kind of just hope that we get somebody that's due diligence and take care of business. And also, I could see we talked about probably 10 to 15,000 on the build out upgrades. So
Yeah, that was in your profile or the information you put. So
well, I guess I'll just wait to hear from you, maybe.
yeah, you and I can just stay in contact, and you can work through me.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we'll reach out to you. We won't keep you guys any longer. Thank you
I
guys for
appreciate
coming.
it.
We do
Thank you so much
appreciate
for
it.
coming.
Thanks for having us.
Really appreciate you coming. It's good to put a face with a name.
Yeah. See you later.
Up next, Megan.
Hi. I don't know if they can see me. I'm waving. Hi, it's Megan Welker. I'm with the Hannah City Park District. You guys have probably, well, some of you have seen me. I know you have. You helped a ton. I have been a part of the board since 2011, I believe. I served as a commissioner for several years, stepped away and just joined different committees, then came on as the administrator, and now I'm a board member again. So I've been doing this for about 10 years. I've come to you guys several times during that process. And now we are doing another event. We're trying to encompass everything we've missed, basically, in the last year and a half that we haven't been able to do into one grand event. We're going to call it the inaugural Hannah City Days, hoping that this is something that we can build off of, maybe create a little bit different culture than Heritage Days had.
Were you guys the one that did Heritage Days?
We are.
Okay, thank you.
And the reason Heritage Days didn't pan out, there were several reasons, but one of them was we were getting all of the donations we could possibly get from local businesses, pumping it into an event that did not produce any revenue. So everything people were donating to us went through the wayside. So we couldn't use any of that money to fix the buildings and such. We also, I say abuse, but we used our volunteers so heavily for that event that the next year when we called them, they were like, no, we're good. We don't need to volunteer anymore. So we're trying to do something that's a little less volunteer heavy, a little bit more manageable for the board and my committee. And we're going to do this event. What I'm asking for you guys is a one-day liquor license, like we've done in the past for Heritage Days. Same type of system. So there will be 21 plus bracelets. We will be checking IDs. You will not get served if you do not have a bracelet on. Alcohol will not be permitted outside of the fenced-in area. We will have trained servers. I am Bassett trained. I will make sure that my volunteers for the bar are also trained in what I know, and I will be there the entire day. The liquor license will be under my name with the Hannah City Park District, so I will take complete control of it. And hoping that you guys would waive the fee for that license as well, as you've done in the past. That is the first thing I'm requesting. And then second, we were hoping to do food trucks instead of serving food ourselves, because of course that takes volunteers that we don't want to use. And I heard that you guys now have a license for food trucks as well. Is that correct?
It is.
Okay, so I don't know what the process is for that, but I want to make sure that we're following it correctly.
Yeah, we actually, it's so new, we don't even really have an application or anything yet. I can just give you.
Can I just say, can I have food trucks?
Yeah. One truck doing it.
I can show you the ordinance. It says all the information. But one of the things we talked about when we passed that ordinance was its intent was really to be more for people that were going to be long staying. In other words, they wanted to be here all week or every weekend or those
And then they
types of things.
compete with local business.
And we talked about the possibility that we could waive the need for the permit for the food trucks
Specifically for events like
for
that.
events
For
like that.
fundraising events and stuff like that. Just to make it easier, because I mean, if you're having to pay your vendor $100, plus, or excuse me, if you're having to pay $100 for a license, and then whatever. I'm just
Yeah, 'cause
using
you-
an example.
Will you get a percentage of whatever these trucks make?
Yes, we will.
So that
We wanted to do more of like a set amount. Like if you want to set up the day of Hannah City Days, this is how much it's going to cost. But because we really don't have any numbers to show vendors at this point, since it's new, we are going to do a percentage at least this first year.
Were you aware of the food truck that's already operating with refuel on occasion?
I haven't been there, but I do know of it.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we made that connection. And there's one at least that might be able to to be
Yeah.
part of what you're doing.
Yeah, I should reach out to Randy and get contact because that would be great. There's already some people that go there.
I think the name is Taggart.
Taggart.
Taggart, Can't remember the name. Maybe it's Taggart Food or
Okay.
something like
Yeah.
that. I don't remember the name of the truck.
Okay, I'll get a hold of Randy too and get the number.
When's this gonna happen?
This is August 28th. We will start the day with a parade, just as we did with Heritage Days. The Methodist Church has given us permission. I know that they've contacted, I'm not in charge of the parade, but I know she's contacted IDOT. Do we need to get permission from you guys to travel from 116 down Main Street to the field? Because we'll have to shut that off for a very small amount of time.
Yeah, we'll still need to get that in writing to say what streets you're gonna want blocked off from what period to what period.
Okay.
Because they've done that in the past with Heritage Days.
I think they just left the barricades out for them, didn't they?
Yeah, I think normally they drop them off
Yeah, they dropped them off.
the night before.
Yeah, that's before they left work on Friday. I think they just dropped the barricades off the night before. And then
Awesome.
I think the park maybe just put them up when they did their stuff in the morning or something. But
Yeah, because we used to do the race too, so I think we were moving them depending on what
Oh,
we
yeah.
were doing throughout the day. But we'll start with the parade. The parade will go up to, where am I? Up to the school here, the green area. In the green area, we're then going to have a ceremony. We are renaming the gymnasium Whitmore Gymnasium in honor of Larry and Lori Whitmore. So we've been talking about that for years. We need to just do it. So we're going to go ahead and have like a small ceremony, cake, ice cream, as many of Larry's players and students that we can find to come and honor him, and hopefully they'll stay and participate in festivities. Same with Lori. Lori was president of the park district. She's volunteered her time. I mean, just too much of her time, honestly. She gave everything to us. So we feel like this is necessary and it's going to be a good day. So we'll go from parade to ceremony to bags tournament. And then we have 2 bands playing. We're going to have 2 big water inflatables for the kids.
Is Fog Hat one of the bands?
No, but tell me more. Tell me more.
Ron's still on it. He knows.
Do you know Twisted Whiskey? You're voting for Fog Hat?
I'm in.
Okay.
Twisted Whiskey is pretty good.
Yeah, they're gonna be our evening performer. They volunteered to give us a great show for very little, so very kind of them. And then some of the high school players actually out there have a band, and they're gonna start it open. We'll have some daytime entertainment with the younger group, and then we'll bring Twisted Whiskey in at night. Farmington's also doing their harvest team. They're gonna come out and they're volunteering to do all the kids stuff. So they'll be selling the bracelets for the water games. They'll be running all of that. So it will be kind of hands-free for us adults to not have to be in the kid area the whole time. We'll make them do it.
Watch these 2. I'll be back in 4 hours.
Exactly. We'll get walkie-talkies.
I don't want to know what's going on.
So is there, if someone wants to put, a float or, haul a wagon, have kids ride bicycles in this parade?
Yes.
Is there an application? Is there a fee for that?
There's an application online. It's on the Park District page, and then it's also on Hannah City Happenings. What's going on in Farmington, whatever Elmwoods is called. Trevoli now has one, and we've tried to post them everywhere we can. And there is not a fee to be in it.
Okay.
We just want participants at this point. Hopefully we'll be able to bring back that 5K at some point too. It's just a lot to handle your first year. So.
And then have you guys gotten with Logan Trevoli Fire to have them do any escort?
I am not the
agents?
parade person,
Okay.
but she's doing really great. We do have Farmington Marching Band, the junior high marching band.
Yeah, I'll be
Yeah. Yes. So I think she's got a good basic setup for.
The most
What to
important thing is
expect.
always put the horses up front.
So everybody's just over that. The steaming
Streets
piles.
for us.
But yeah, the liquor license and the food truck license are probably my 2 biggest concerns. Is everybody wants to eat while they're there, and
Sure.
bags tournament, you need drinks.
yeah. And that'll be in the fenced-in area.
Yes.
Okay.
everything actually will be contained in that area except the ceremony. I'm thinking we're going to do that inside just because since it is the gym that, we're renaming, it feels like we should probably be in said gym. But other than that, we'll just be in the field.
Okay. Well, of course, we can't vote on anything tonight, but I think that's all we have.
So the only two votes we would have would be what the liquor license and then what we want to do with the food trucks.
Correct. Yep. I know in the past that you guys have donated to events. I do have a letter that I'll send as well. I didn't want to give it all to you tonight. That's a lot, but just for consideration.
Sure, thank you.
Okay. Yep. Any questions for me?
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks. It was good to meet half of you. I didn't know everybody. Just
Danny
phone
or
calls.
Zach or Ron, did you guys have any questions on the inaugural Hannah City Days?
I just had, do we have a phone number to contact her?
I have been contacted by several of you.
Okay.
Zach's reached out.
Can you go ahead and put your phone number on
Yeah,
here?
absolutely.
Denise, I'll have her put it on the sign in and then I'll make sure I scan that to you.
Definitely do that.
Okay, thank you.
We'll put the phone number in the minutes too. In case anybody that gets the paper wants to call her.
Yeah, and then we'll
No.
post it on that.
Anybody that gets what? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Someone did
I don't
that.
have much in the way of questions.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'll write this note.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that, Ann, Zach?
I said I don't have much in the way of questions, but it sounds like something great is in the works, and I can't wait to see how it turns out.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Zach.
definitely. Yeah, for you that don't know, Morton actually filmed a movie in Morton.
Yeah.
It's based around the pumpkin factory, and it's about some love thing. And I talked to the mayor at the HOA mayor's meeting last month, and they had finished wrapping up and everything. And he says, for what they spent and what they'll get back is just going to be astronomical because everybody was staying in hotels and everything else coming out from these events. So, then they've got the pumpkin festival on top of that. So
that's fantastic.
As far as the village goes, we're not very big, but to start getting something like that going again, I know we have the stuff with the fire department too when they do their stuff. Having a couple of those a year, one in the spring, maybe one in the fall, would really help break some of that up, and then also, brings people out to our town for them to actually see what we have to offer.
Absolutely.
And then maybe they could have a cup of coffee.
I will. No, we're kind of trying to get back into the swing of things too. So tomorrow night will be our first craft night again. The Sportsman's Club has offered their facilities to us for free whenever we need it. If we want to do some sort of like wine night, that way I don't have to get a liquor license for 5 women to have a glass of wine. It doesn't make a lot of sense to spend $150 for that. So tomorrow night we're doing craft night, and that stuff's all posted too. So spread the word if you see it. Trying to get everybody back out,
Probably get everybody back in the routine again of stuff going on.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much,
No,
Megan.
thank
We
you, guys.
appreciate it. And we'll get back to you and get your phone number. So
Yep.
we'll let you know. Thank you.
See ya. Bye.
Next item on the agenda is public hearing on proposed Village of Hannah City appropriation ordinance. So I will take a motion to go into a public hearing on the proposed appropriation ordinance.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Hoopengartner. And I'll have to do a roll call. So Hoopengartner?
Yes.
Johnson? Sidak?
Yes.
Pearson?
Yes.
Who's that guy again?
I'm just the man of
Is it
nobody.
I think his name's God Tates.
Yeah.
I have to, don't have to unmute.
Yeah, God Tates.
No, I don't.
His dog's not here. There's no cars.
Hey, sometimes I had to sit in the car.
I know.
If you could occasionally just not move for 20 seconds, that would kind of, help me. you know, help you ease back in a little bit.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. We're in a public hearing, a proposed village of Hannah City appropriation ordinance for the fiscal year May 1, 2021 through April 30th, 2022.
Document is in your packets unchanged from the last week. It's unchanged for the last couple of months actually. So it's basically just formalizing the budget into an ordinance.
No input from the public. Any discussion? Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Pearson. Roll call it. Johnson,
Yes.
Sidak,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Gates,
Yes.
Cooper Gardner.
Yes.
Wow, it's weird hearing the Gates here. Yes! Public hearing is now
I
closed.
never know how loud to say it. I figured I probably was pretty loud.
Yes. So in your packets, everybody should have a copy of the minutes from the July 6, 2021 meeting. I know that Mr. Johnson has scoured these many times.
I can't even tell you how many times I read them.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of July 6th meeting.
I'll second.
The motion by Cooper Gardner, second by Gates. Any further discussion? We'll roll call it. Sidak,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Gates,
Yes.
Cooper Gardner,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Everybody should also have a copy of the treasurer's report. I think the only thing that is not in here was the payroll for this week. Take a moment and take a look at it, see if you have any questions.
And also, there was a couple of bills that did come in at the last minute that's not on the warrant list that will have to be paid before the next meeting. Lori's going to go ahead and take care of that. I have initialed off on it. It will be a second warrant list attached to the warrant list for the next meeting. It was a life insurance policy that was due, and the MFT that's going to be due. Something from that. So it's not in there, but it will be attached to the next warrant list.
Any further discussion? Okay. So do we have a motion?
Motion to pay all outstanding bills.
Motion by Cooper Gardner. Second. Second by Johnson. So we'll roll call it. Pearson,
Yes.
Gates,
Yes.
Cooper Gardner,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Sidak.
Yes.
Motion carries. Are you able to hear us okay, Denise? Okay. So that'll bring us down to the engineer's report. Mr. Lott?
I'm simple. I don't have anything to report tonight. Since I can now come out and visit, but I'm certainly available to answer questions either now or as the meeting progresses.
I did have one question. So we have awarded the contract, or has IDOT approved the new?
No.
So they've not approved the.
Well, we've sent it in. I got to be honest with you, Brian. I don't know if they actually sent us a letter saying they've approved it or not. I'll find out.
Okay, when we talked to Joe, he said we were waiting for IDOT approval,
Okay.
and that then the contractor would give us a date for the oil and chips.
I know they don't. We're always late in the summer anyway. So,
Okay.
but I know he's submitted it to IDOT. He's on vacation.
Okay.
Joe is, but
No problem. And then just for the general, not everybody else asked Roger for an update today, but the sidewalk, the contract was awarded to Mid-Illinois Contractors, and that's going to be done the week of 8-9. And the crack filling was awarded to Purdue Pavement Solutions, and that's going to be done the week of 8-2. So those were the three big things. Exactly. So that's progressing, which is great.
I agree. Okay.
By the way, Rod just sent me a note saying he's not going to be, he couldn't get in.
Yeah,
Okay.
I saw the email that he was trying to get in, but he wasn't able to get on. So, Michael, you're up.
Mr. Mayor, just a few things on my end. One of the things in your packets is a new version of that franchise agreement with Century Enterprises. We had a conference call with Century Enterprises, and they just wanted some more clarification in the ordinance itself, the agreement. It's both on that municipal telecommunications tax, so we just added some language clarifying that. And adding a repealer clause so that since we've already passed this agreement as an ordinance, we need to repeal it now if this one goes through, and this one would replace it. So just adding some language to that effect in there. There's another thing in your packet, a municipal or an ordinance imposing the municipal telecommunications tax. So I spoke to the Department of Revenue just to figure out what our next steps are going to be if this ordinance passes in terms of collecting these taxes come January of next year. So we will need to still get a certified copy of this ordinance on file with the Department of Rev by September 20th. And then Lori has a My Local Tax account. And from there, you can order a listing of all the taxpayers who are provided with telecommunication services, and you can order a list of all the actual telecommunications providers within the village. So I think she should order those taxpayer listings and the telecom provider listings, because what we'll need to do is send address information of all those taxpayers to all of the telecommunications providers so that they know, so that the Department of Revenue and the providers know who is getting service and who's going to be taxed.
Tell me again, we need to order what two things?
A taxpayer listing and a list of the telecommunications providers within the village. And then we provide those providers with the list of all those addresses of the taxpayers. And those are our only next steps.
Okay.
And then, last thing, not up for a vote tonight, but it'll be ready for the first meeting next month, is an ordinance amending our code to implement some rules for remote hearing attendance for anyone, planning commission, regular meetings of the board, special meetings of the board, of our other commissions, to allow members to appear remotely. The Open Meetings Act, I should correct what I said at the last meeting, which was that starting July 24th, we can't have any more people appearing remotely. It's only half true. We can have people appear remotely under the Open Meetings Act as long as we do it in accordance with and pursuant to rules adopted by the municipality for having remote hearings. So essentially, we just need to establish some rules. I looked at the code. We didn't have any rules on remote hearing attendance, so we'll just implement some rules, and then people can start attending remotely.
Todd, did you get that email I forwarded to you and Nancy? I thought I forwarded that information to you guys just to let you know that there was going to still be a possibility. You didn't get it? Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I know that I got this stuff because I looked for it, but I didn't look for the other one. I'll look for it and I'll let her know what's going on.
Yeah, so it looks like we're going to be able to continue to do it. We just have to pass something next week.
Correct. We just need to set some rules in place.
Yep.
Cool. Sounds good.
And that's it on my list. But if you have any questions.
Okay. Thank you, Michael. Mr. Bryan?
Administrator's report. I'm not going to go through everything. Just two things I want to draw your attention to. If you remember right, we paid for cleaning all 4 sand filters. We only got 3 cleaned last time because of weather and that kind of stuff. He came back actually this week, and they've got the last one cleaned. So we apparently have to go through and scrape off the top layer and move it out of the way, but that's all the work that's left to be done on that, and Jim's working on that. The other thing is in the hunt for funding for the water tower, I was introduced to a group called RCAP, Rural County Assistant Partnerships. Excuse me, Rural Community Assistant Partnerships. All their services are free, which is wonderful. And we met with them, and I was just amazed at what they do. So they can do free water loss analysis.
Really?
Yeah. Now we have to do an upfront audit, and we're getting that information together now, but then we send it to them. They're grant funded. So we send them the information, then they do the water loss analysis. The other thing they'll do for us, which is wonderful, is they'll do a water and sewer rate analysis. So they look at our current rates, and then they ask us to try to determine what our capital expenditures would be looking forward, and then they can tell us, do our current rates not only cover current stuff, but are we funding enough to make sure as we move forward that we've got the money to do that. So we're going to undertake that. We're doing the audit for that as well. And then finally, in that water analysis, they can throw the water tower funding in if we want to, and then help us understand what that would do to the rates if we needed to cover the cost. And their suggestion was the USDA loan, which we knew about. They said most of the time it's 70-30. You put in 70%, they'll put in 30. No, excuse me. There's about 30% of it that would be forgiven. Probably on a minimum, but like I said, the problem is when you apply for it, they don't tell you how much you're going to get forgiven. But he said it's normally between 30 and 40%, and it's 1.75% interest over 40 years. We did the rough math, pulled up a amortization calculator or whatever. It'd be about $4,000 a month is what it would turn out to be for our portion of it if we had 30% forgiven. Divide that by the total number of users, and we came up with $10 a month, which again sounds small, but if your bill, that's still 10% or better than 10% if we had to do that to fund it. Again, I was just really excited because these guys seem like they're going to be a lot of help. So, and I don't know, Ryan, if you want to say anything, I know Ryan joined us at the meeting.
Yeah, agreed. Even if we can just find and stop the leak problem, then that would help. We can use that money that we're losing there to go towards the tower as well. So hopefully we can figure all that stuff out.
So that's underway. Okay, the next is the financials for the end of June. And so in your deck, you've got slides, and I'll just walk you through that real quick. Again, the way we budget, the numbers seem like they're endlessly skewed, but I can explain them. This looks really good, right? Because we had budgeted income of 81,102, and that's because we divide by 12. We don't say that we're going to get property tax in the month of June, which we got property tax in the month of June. So it was 167,154. So we're $86,000 to the good. Our expenses were below budget, so we're $85,000 to the good for the month, but that's all property tax. If you look at the core fund breakdown, everything's positive, and the good news is if you look at water, it basically, last month we talked about that we were behind on water. Well, we are basically caught up on water in terms of our regular expenses. The only expenses that we're under are those one-time only engineering expenses that are in there. So there's about $6,000 of that in there. So the good news is water caught back up this month. Then you look at the month of June MFT. So there's income and expense. You look at June TIF. These numbers will get more meaningful over time as we start to kind of expand these programs. So TIF, we had almost $2,500, $2,600 worth of income. We don't know where that came from. We looked it up, and we're still trying to figure out details of where it came from. But that's good news that we're getting TIF income already. And then BDD, we had about $10,000 worth of income. But the government system that showed us that we got that $3,000 or $2,600 is finding the details proven to be a challenge at this point. Then the next slide shows year to date. So year to date, we're 91,833 to the good. And again, property tax is skewing that number pretty dramatically. And then if you look at the year to date funds, so general's good because of the property tax, unemployment's good. Water's good with the exception of those. That's almost exactly what those engineering expenses were. Sewer's good, garbage is good. Sanitation gets a portion of the property tax, so it's good. And then you can look at year-to-date MFT, TIF, and BDD. So basically, one point I wanted to make is on the book, as managing the books now, is Lori's in the process of what we've got now is we basically are managing 4 kind of different P&Ls, if that makes sense, with TIF, BDD, and MFT now all being in the system, which has created some additional work for her and some challenges for us on that end. But and then I started on the cash summary. This year I had the year-end cash, so I had the 21 last year's budget year-end cash of 13616. So I started comparing it each month to what we finished the last year at. So you can see a running total of do we have more money in the bank than we had? Do we have less money in the bank? Which then reconciles with the P&Ls for the most part. So if those numbers are positive, that means we're bringing in more than we're spending. And so summary, June was a positive month. Year to date was a positive month. MFT, BDD, and TIF are all positive. We're cash flow positive. It doesn't get much better than that, I don't think, financially.
Before you walk away from your stuff, say what you wanted to say with the water.
I was just curious, we do a lot of these things for communities.
Yeah.
I wish we were free. We're not.
Sure.
So, if we can provide assistance to, you've got a great resource there, I'd be happy to. And I know there are lots of opportunities.
Were you familiar with these guys or no?
I'm not personally, but I'm sure we have. And I know there are, over the years, there is always somebody out there doing that. And even folks like Tri-County can provide some of these.
It was the Greater Peoria Economic Development Council rural guy who got us in contact with this guy.
And Don and others are with GPCD or whatever the acronym is. But we work with some of those folks and recognizing that, smaller communities may not have the resources that others do. So we can provide assistance and be a resource to them if you've got an opportunity for them to do the bulk of the work. Yeah. But one of the questions that I had, for years and years and years, and we've talked through councils, there are always funding opportunities for projects like water towers out there. IEPA low interest loans, which is how you did your sewer lining years ago. The USDA program, and it changes year to year. Yeah. As stimulus money comes about, and then of course we're all hearing about the infrastructure bill and these port projects that are out there, and we submitted exactly, and we submitted some things, and those projects went to some of the bigger communities, of course. Not that yours wasn't warranted, but I don't know if there's. I don't know if lobbying is the right term or talking to the right people so that, $1.7 million water tower in Hannah-Sealy, Illinois gets prioritized. And I don't know what opportunities you might have there. I don't know what I can do other than support you as you begin to talk with folks. And you read the thing in the paper and you say, well, we need to get on our list. We'll submit ours and get our piece of the pie. And it's not that easy. I recognize it. I know you're beating the streets and I think wonder where that's at.
You've done a lot because you've got us positioned. We're shovel ready now. So if one of those things does pop, we can go. The thing I like is these guys and both the Greater Peoria Economic Development Council, they're very in tune with what opportunities are out there and if there's going to be a funding that's outside of the normal stuff that we've talked about. And so I'm on their radar. If something pops up that you guys hear about, we got this, $2 million project or whatever. The other thing we liked about the conversation is with the USDA loan is they said if you want to replace all your meters, if you want to, you do the water loss thing first, but if you find out there's a bunch of other holes and you want to build that into the loan, another $30,000 or $50,000 on that is going to be peanuts to replace all the meters or do whatever.
Like Jim was saying, we replaced part of the meters before, but the other part might need updated. That might be part of the reason that we're having some loss. So if we find out that that's the issue, we can.
Because what did we use? Housings that we already had, basically,
and some of those housings they didn't know how old they were because they had sat on a shelf for X amount of years.
So that's what Jim was saying. We got new readers, but we don't know if they're reading the correct information that's coming to it, basically.
What was interesting though is because when we told him we had 30% loss, and we were all apologetic for it. Like, most of the communities we work with are 50, 60% that are this old.
Yeah. Jeez. And Jim's like, well, I'm losing sleep over 30. Who the heck is that?
So thank you. I just I appreciate all those efforts. If we can support you, happy to do so. And I know it's awful easy to read the newspaper and say, well, somebody call up Congressman LaHood and give us $2 million. I don't know that it's quite that easy.
Well, I do get LaHood's. I get a weekly grant thing from LaHood's team, and so I get the chance to look through those. But I think the best resource we have right now for that funding stuff are these two guys, and they know what's coming up. They're helping the communities get there.
Well, they know we're sitting on a set of plans too that we can, which is good for them because they get a project pushed through, then it's a feather in their cap too. So they know they have somebody sitting here that's ready to drop the hammer. Yeah, exactly.
And when the time comes for application of any kind, whether it's guaranteed or it's competitive, you have a good story to tell.
Well, but they also did say when we get to a certain point, they asked, well, who are your engineers, and because we'll have to pull them in, and so we had that conversation. I think there's a broader discussion about, do we want to fund the water tower just to fund the water tower, or do we hold our breath until?
Yeah, how long do you wait for the they're applied for,
So thank you, appreciate it.
You guys still hear us, Denise? Okay. Thank you.
We still had the water meter testing that came back with, we sent them to that lab and they came back poor.
Yeah.
Most of them, and we never really went too far with that. I think part of the people at the time thought that test didn't mean much, maybe, but I always was like,
well, we have the capital expense money, I know, budgeted every year for meter replacement.
Yeah.
So one of the things after we get this loss analysis done is if we can, try to get some sort of idea of what it is, I think we should at least start going forward and doing some of those bases that we, start in an area and work our way, because we should have an idea of where the older meters are versus where the newer ones are.
Yeah, if I might, I think treating it just like Brian said with the roads, being progressive instead of and separating it out and say we have 600 meters, we're going to replace 20 a year, and then every, do the math.
Yeah.
Just like the roads, to always be something, replacing meters.
I think it's great. You guys were on, that's exactly where we want to be. The one concern I have is I think the way the budget is built, and I don't mean to sound critical, I'm not trying to, but as we get to know it better, we'll be closer. But I think some of the buffer we build into the budget has been in the capital expenditures, because every year we put it in and we never spend it.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of, there is a buffer. As we start to understand the numbers better and know exactly what we're spending on a regular basis, I think we can tighten that up to some degree. And then know that that's what we want to spend.
Or if we do,
just like we did with the road.
Exactly. If we do bite the bullet and do the tower, do we jumpstart that and say, we're going to do so many a year, but we're going to roll 300 of them into that loan or something? You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I mean. The numbers I ran off $2 million, so that's got another $300,000 in there for other stuff, and that's $4,000 a month. So we could do a lot of.
You do all the meters probably.
Yeah.
Just do everything brand new on them.
Because I know when I was doing,
it seemed like we got conflicting. Of course, no matter who you talk to, they're going to bash the other brand, and everybody loves their own brand. One lab came back as crap. The other says,
that's one thing I like about these guys, is they don't care.
Yeah. They don't have.
They just want it to work. They're on our side.
Yeah. Yeah. Who do they consistently see be good? I don't know. I'm ready just to. We do the tower, do every single meter new, and just start fresh. And
then we also have to look at if we do what vendor we go with.
Yeah.
Then heads. Are the heads that we currently, electronic heads that we have on all our meters, are they going to work with our Trimble and everything? So do we have to then purchase new software? Do you need to purchase a new meter reader?
Yeah.
All I know is in the meeting, he and I and Jimmy kept looking at each other going, seriously?
Yeah.
You do that for free? We're in.
Yeah. Sooner we build the tower, sooner Farnsworth can inspect it and throw somebody out here to keep it going.
Okay.
You all will be me.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. On your committee reports.
That paint, that looks good. You leave that part right, go up and do the little
4 foot and under, it's all good.
Exactly. Give me the panel before it goes up. I'll test paint. Okay, we're good.
On committee reports. Finance.
Okay, it's time to vote on our annual appropriations ordinance for the village for 2021-2022. You see that in front of you. I'd like to make the motion that we approve our appropriations ordinance for a total of $1,488,700.
Second. So I got a motion by Hoovercard to approve the 2021-2022 annual appropriations ordinance for the Village of Hannah City. And I have a second by Johnson. And this doesn't get an ordinance number. It just gets an approval. So, any further discussion, comments? Okay, roll call it. Gates?
Yes.
Hoopengarter?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Sidak?
Yes.
Yes. And Pearson?
Yes.
Your motion carries.
That's all I have.
That's it?
That's it.
I'm glad to see you in person. Woo! And then do we have to file this with anybody?
I know the tax levy ordinance does need to be filed, but that's not until December. I'll circle back to you on this one.
Okay. Okay. Oh, Gates?
I think I have a list of who it needs to go to.
Okay, thank you, Denise.
Yes.
I think our administrator covered.
Yeah, the only thing we had was the poo-poo pond. That's what we call it.
And the approval of NFT funds, or I should say, streets and alleys.
Yeah, we don't have any of that at this point.
Yeah.
We haven't spent anything.
Police and planning.
From 6/6 to 7/3, there was 36 incident reports. June 6th to July 3rd, 36 incident reports. That was a total of 3 different reports.
No.
Done.
Wow. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb, what were the dates on those reports?
June 6th through July 3rd. There's 3 different reports in there, but 36 incidents.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Water?
Bear with me. See if I can get this right. Okay, total of 1 shut off for 2,836.18.
No.
No?
How many you have on your list at the top?
16.
Okay. So we have 16 notices.
16 notices.
So they used a lot of water.
Yeah. So we got 16 notices for
2,836.18.
Okay.
The level pay plan, 0.
Okay. 0 on level. Foreclosures.
4 for a total of 511.93.
Bulk water sales.
2,211,611. That's 2211611.
Did you get those numbers okay, Denise? Thank you. Anything else?
That's it.
I think they're going to flush the hydrants. Is anybody talking?
Yeah, there's a date on the door.
Thursday.
Is it this Thursday?
This Thursday.
Still meter that? Does he meter that when he does?
Is what?
Does he meter that when he does it?
I don't know. I don't think they do. Because that may add to our water
It
loss.
does, and I know at
now.
times he did when he could get one, or they estimate, so many gallons a minute. We at least keep track of how long he did it so you can ballpark it.
We bought a meter.
I know at one time you either borrowed or bought.
I think
but
we
I don't think he
borrowed one
always
from.
OT.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we might have just bought the backflow preventer or something. I forget. Yeah, I know we did something one time.
But at the very least, if we can estimate how long total, and it helps when you're running the cows.
Sure. How often do they do that?
Once a year.
I think that's it. But I don't know. This is my first time.
Normally, always do it in midsummer. And of course, then they have to go at the end of the year and then close and sometimes vacuum out some of those.
Another point is we've got our first sewer-only customer in the water shut-off protocol with Illinois American, which is the ordinance we passed some time ago.
Yeah,
several months ago.
And Tracy went through some of that training, and I think that did they finally get her correct username and password?
Yeah, I think she's good.
Okay, because she did that training online with them and everything, and they went through and started doing one of the customers and everything. So a lot of hoops to jump through for that. So. So build these grounds, Zach.
So first and foremost, Megan Walker, who was just in here a little bit earlier, sent me a message regarding her hearing earlier. She forgot to mention that that liquor license they're applying for would only be put toward beer, hard seltzer, and possibly wine. They do not plan on serving hard liquor.
Yeah, it would be all one encompassing. It'd be all one encompassing liquor license anyway. So.
In addition to that, I have been in contact with both Megan Walker and Eric Shangraw regarding our cleanup days. I've been working with Megan Walker. They've basically trying to schedule another village-wide garage sale through the Park District on September 18th. So currently our tentative cleanup day is September 20th. However, Mr. Shangraw has let me know that their scheduling manager, Joe, will not be back from vacation until July 27th. So he can't really say anything for sure. Can't really make any promises. But as of right now, our tentative date is September 20th. And I will get back to everybody as soon as possible as we have the concrete date. And that is it as far as my report goes.
Okay. Zach, per the email I sent you earlier today, I forgot you were out of town, so just holler at me when you get back and we'll catch up on those two items in that email.
Can do.
Okay. Thank you very much, Zach. So under other business, first thing we have is the mid-century franchise agreement changes. Like Michael said earlier in this, the only thing it did was change the language in how it was written that was going to be imposed and when it was going to be imposed. It's mid-century wanted to make sure that that was changed and there was an even playing field across all telecom providers within the village. They thought it was going to enact immediately, so they asked to change the language in there, which Michael did. Just in a matter of hours.
So just for clarification, if we pass this effective January of next year, all telecom companies will have the same 5% tax.
If the next ordinance passes too.
If the next ordinance passes.
Yeah, right. And we get a certified copy on file with the Department of Rev, and then Lori will have to go, someone on the My Local Tax, and get the listing of the taxpayers and all the telecom providers and send them the addresses. That's my understanding from talking with the Department
of Revenue.
Yeah, of Revenue. Sorry.
Yeah.
And that was because we did this because there was a change in the way franchise fees. You can't do franchise fees for telecom. You have to do the tax.
The Simplified Municipal Telecommunications Tax Act essentially repealed the franchise fees for telecommunications, but it allows municipalities to impose a tax up to actually 6% gross sales within the village.
So if we approve this, it'll be ordinance number 21-07 dash. Do you have the next number, Denise? Oh, 05.
Sounds right to me based on the minutes. I think we went up to 04 in this meeting.
Okay. So everybody knows what it is. A franchise agreement for fiber optic services with Mid-Century Fiber. It'd be ordinance 21-07-05. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
A motion by Johnson,
Second.
second by Hoopengartner. Then we'll call that. Hoopengartner,
No discussion.
any questions? Any discussion?
I did have a question. So they can't have franchise fees anymore. So how long has the tax been out there that we've not been doing it?
I think that act passed 2003, 2004.
Oh, so we just about 20 years we've just been not doing it.
But we have had franchise fees.
For cable services, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
all.
well, early on when I got on the board 6 or 8 years ago, they sent us a letter saying
They weren't going
they weren't going to pay it anymore because
providers.
yeah, there's too many providers, so we haven't got franchise fees for that for at least 6 years.
Yeah, because that's when I left. About
Yeah.
as right as I left.
Yeah, they
That's the first time.
Yeah, so that's what I'm curious is
I have no idea.
how long it's been how long this has been sitting out there that we just never acted on it until this came up and we found out about it. So
Yeah. And what we do is we'll send those list of addressees and to all of the telecom providers, Comcast, or not Comcast, but MediaCom, Mid-Century, Dish, DirecTV, Noise. Yep, if they're providing any type of telecom, then we'll have that tax added. We'll go to the state and then it comes back to us.
Gotcha.
When the providers file their taxes with the state, yeah, and then the state takes some administrative fees off of it and remits it back.
Of course.
you actually owe us money for processing here.
Now we see why they went for franchise fees.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. We'll take care of it for you. Don't worry.
Any further discussion? Thank you, Mr. Johnson. So we'll roll call it. Hoopengartner? Yes. Johnson?
Yes.
Sidak?
Yes.
Pearson?
Yes.
Gates?
Yes.
Motion carries. So you have a thing copy of that?
I don't know if it's, I wrote on it.
No, that's appropriation.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is anybody not written on there?
I don't know.
Yeah, I wrote the ordinance.
Just wrote on my.
So I will get that signed. Well, actually, I have to wait for Denise to seal it and sign it too. When are you back from vacation?
You're muted, Denise.
You're muted still.
I can come in Sunday and sign and seal all that.
Okay. I
Just
will.
leave it in my basket.
I will do that, ma'am. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. The next thing is the approval ordinance amending liquor license ordinance and establishing fees for liquor license classifications.
So this was because it was vague. It said we could apply a liquor license fee as we did, however we wanted to, and then we had tribal knowledge in terms of what we were charging people. So we created a $500 core liquor license fee, subclass of $250, and then the gaming license is a state driven. It's what, $50 per machine?
25, I think.
20, is it?
Yeah, 25.
Okay, $25 per machine.
You need to determine whatever.
That's how the video gaming
I mean,
act
it's what's
calls
called
them.
in here, but
Well, I don't want to be illegal.
I lost my copy. Thanks, Tony. I don't think you gave me one on purpose.
cost something different every year. Just
I don't know if it
whim.
cost something different. It was just kind of, like I said, we tribal knowledge. This is what we charged last year.
And it makes it easier for Denise or anybody else that's coming in as far as clerk, because we sat down one night, we're sitting in here past board meeting going, what are we charging them?
Can't believe that was never caught an audit or anything, because that would just be a great way to skim funds. I mean, if there was nothing setting the fee and you told them a certain amount, then
Charge 1,000.
Yes,
away 5.
exactly. I mean, yeah, it's just a remnant from bygone times, I guess.
So this ordinance is just establishing the fees for the liquor license and all their classifications.
Got a motion?
No motion.
I'll make that motion then.
I have a motion by Johnson,
I'll second it.
second by Gates. Any further discussion? We'll roll call it. Johnson,
Yes.
Sidak,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Gates,
Yes.
Hubengarner.
Yes.
And ordinance, that will be ordinance 21-07-06. Next one is the telecommunications, an ordinance imposing municipal telecommunications tax in the village of Hannah City. Is everybody clear on what this is for?
Yes, we kind of discussed that into the mid-century one. I'll just make the motion on that one now that we've.
Is there any way to ask for the back taxes on that?
No, because
Yeah, if we didn't have this ordinance in effect,
Yeah.
we can't collect it. So there's probably many municipalities in the state that
Our
aren't.
village hall down if you made that. That might be. You had cable from
I'm with you,
2010
Denise.
to
It would be nice, but
2015.
I don't think we can.
Brian's going door to door tonight, trying to start it.
That's when the pitchforks and
Yeah.
torches come out.
You lived in Hannah City back in the early 2000s, correct? For a couple of years. You had cable, so you owe us $14. Who are you?
Second on this.
yeah, I have a motion by Johnson,
Second.
second by Pearson. Any further discussion? We'll roll call it. Sidak,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Gates,
Yes.
Hubengarner,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Motion carries. It'll be ordinance 21-07-07. Under new business, or under other business, the new business of the gaming cafe proposal discussion. What is the board's opinion on bringing this into town? Because if we decide to do that, we'll have to.
I would just want to make one point of clarification: is we're not voting on this specific group necessarily. If I understand Ron, he's got multiple suitors for the property that all want to do a gaming cafe, and so it may be these guys, it may not. That'll be. I mean, ultimately, I think that's Ron's call. We're deciding: do we want to increase the liquor license? Do we want to increase the gaming licenses in order to accommodate that? And if we do, if you guys say yes tonight that you want us to do that, then we'll prepare the paperwork for the vote for the August 3rd meeting. And we would need two, right? We need an ordinance to increase the liquor license and an ordinance for the gaming license.
Yeah, you're right. We would. And we could possibly get several applications, or maybe really delayed with. Depends on how the leasing thing goes. I mean, you may get several people that apply for it and go around and say, I have the licenses now. I want the lease. If he's got multiple people interested,
I know you at least have two, right, Ron?
Actually, I have 3.
But they're all interested in the same thing this guy approached
A
us.
cafe type. It may not look all the same, but it's a gaming cafe. So
It's a gaming cafe. I've got another guy that wants to make more family oriented.
Kitty poker?
Well, I don't, I mean, they can hand out lollipops and stuff, I guess.
I'm not buying that.
boundary house in the corner. We did. There is a website where you can get the numbers, and I did run them today.
Large revenue for the city coming out of a cafe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
So
was shocked.
these averages are.
Believe it.
Could be lower, but the municipality share. We have 21 machines in the village right now.
Oh, really?
I ran this through 6 months, and our take is $21,642.19. So it's basically $1,000 a machine for the 6 months. So $167 per machine per month. So if this place goes in, you got 6 new machines. You roll that out, it's an additional $12,000 minimum. He showed me numbers. That guy showed me numbers from Pekin. Now, granted, they're bigger, and I don't know what their tax rates are and all that kind of stuff, but they were showing, close to 20,000 or better a year for the 6
I looked at
machines.
Bartonville's, and I can't remember how many companies that they had, businesses that had the machines, and the ones that were not like the local bar, that were more like an LLC type business, which is what he's going to do, and it profited double in a month compared to the ones that was in the bars. I was shocked. Because I'm not a gambler. I've never done any of the gambling things here in town. But I was shocked that just
Yeah, if you look
that
at just the amount played, the wagering activity in the first 6 months, it was $5,278,816 played in the machines in the first 6 months. So that's $1 million. That's $1 million a month.
Why do people throw their money away?
And then
Not quite.
Then it's minus the payouts.
It's a little deceptive.
Minus
That's
the
where it's
breakdown.
deceptive though, because when you win and you push go, but it's still revenue. But
Yeah, so I guess I would consider that if these gaming cafes are true, that $12K would be a minimum, right? Of probably what we would see from it.
That $12K a year?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Just for the new.
Because they could have 6
Just for
machines.
6
That
new
would show
machines.
on there what the municipality itself got.
We got 21,642
Yeah.
for the 21 machines that we got for the first 6 months.
So not everybody in town has their 6 maximum,
No.
No.
obviously.
The TAP has 4.
Oh.
Gills has 5. Sportsman Club has 6. Refuel has 6.
Okay.
Adding up
We're the
to
ones
21.
at Gills.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that.
In the
Yeah,
warehouse.
It's the warehouse.
That's all under one business umbrella.
Oh,
So
okay.
warehouse.
So there's 10.
I just went
No.
to Gills the other day.
No.
Gills has 5. The warehouse
There is
has
a
5.
warehouse.
They're in the warehouse.
They're not in Gills. It's one business though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is Gills? It shows one under Cynthia Elliott that has 4 machines.
That's the
TAP.
TAP.
Okay, that's right. And then all the Gills are all under the warehouse.
The
Okay.
warehouse.
Yeah.
I was thinking that wrong. I was
You
thinking
think it's
Cindy,
Cindy,
not
yeah.
Cynthia.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's my fault. And then the Sportsman's Clubs and the Refuel.
Are maxed out with their 6 apiece.
They are.
Yeah, and the Refuel has been, the highest one so far this summer with the reopening and everything. So
They're probably most consistently full.
yeah, it's pretty much been Refuel, Gills, or the or the Warehouse. Then it's been the Sportsman's Club, and then the TAP, as far as highest to lowest.
Gotcha.
I have a question on that. Do we need to increase the liquor license just to give one to the park district for a temporary one?
No.
No, it's a
Never.
good question, but no, I don't think we do.
Yep, never have.
Okay,
It's just a temporary one.
Yeah, it's not.
okay,
It's not a permanent license. So
okay.
I went back and I actually read some old minutes.
On how to do it.
No, just if we had to increase it, because I think it was brought up by Bill at one point, if we had to do another license.
Oh, and just keep it vacant for temporary ones that came along?
Right, but we didn't have
Yeah.
to since it was a temporary license.
Yeah.
for a 1-day event.
Mine.
They still got to get a state license for that, though, don't they?
Maybe.
The park district,
Yeah.
as far as my knowledge was, no, they just had to get, they might have to get something from Peoria County.
Yeah, I think that's why they always
But
come
see,
here.
I would have to send that to the sheriff's department also. So they're aware of it.
I thought the firemen from Pork Chop always said they got it really early because they had to turn it around and then
Yeah.
send
They did.
it on to the state to show that we have our local one.
Right.
I
So
think
is-
they do.
So is this even gonna be soon enough then for the park district to have their event? Because their event's the end of next month.
Yeah, we'd have to vote it on the third
Yeah.
Yeah,
next meeting.
assuming so. I'm sure they've checked into it.
We'd have to vote on it, and then if we wanted to do that, then we could grant a 1-day liquor license.
Yeah.
And then they'd have to turn around and then file that.
Yeah, I thought they had to send that to the state too.
Yeah, because
I swore that's why the firemen always came in so early because they said they had to get it and then turn it around. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Somebody wants
Well, I
to
don't know,
mention it
since
to
it's-
Megan. But
It's not an establishment.
no, neither was the fireman though.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe somebody mentioned it to Megan, but
Yeah, the only thing Myrna told me is that the sheriff's department needs a copy of it.
maybe they are good. I don't know.
So,
Yeah.
gaming cafe proposal.
So we spoke about the financial benefit of it. How about some other concerns or positives about it?
Just cut to. I don't know if I'm the willing to add another liquor and gaming license at this point. With the size of town, the fact we just added another liquor license, and we don't even know how that's going to roll out entirely. And we just increased it because we know we have something that's going to come up that we think will be good. But I don't know if I want to add another one into the mix without seeing how that plays out with the business in town. I understand they're two different establishments, but I'm not bowled over by it, I guess.
So if you'll indulge me for a moment, I really wanted to get some community feedback, so I actually went door to door on my street and was just asking people like, hey, here's this new business, they're interested in coming in, here's kind of where they'd be, and just gave them a brief overview based on the packets that we had gotten last time. I asked 20 people, and out of those 20 people, 6 said yes and 14 said no, which was surprising to me. But something else that I thought was interesting with those results is that the no's were absolutely not. I don't want that. We don't need any more of that. We've got enough of that. I think we're good for gaming and stuff. The yeses were, sure, why not?
Yeah, revenue's revenue. We don't care what it is.
Right. It wasn't none of them said that they were even interested in going there necessarily. They were just fine with another location like that being in town. So I would ask them, like, okay, you say no, why did you say no? And they had a few, again, if you'll just indulge me a little bit.
No, this is great.
Yeah, this is great.
Thank you for doing it.
Yeah, well, I don't know if me and Zach spoke last time, and we were going to try to go out together and go house to house, but our schedules didn't match up. Did you have a chance to speak to anybody, Zach?
I did not, unfortunately.
Okay. So yeah, the responses I got when I would say, like, what are your concerns with something like this, was, first of all, that we have several locations that have games. And so I would explain again, well, this is a cafe with some games. It's not a bar. But they do serve alcohol, right? Yes,
Yeah.
they are going to serve alcohol. Okay. So that we have some, not only in town, but that there's also a similar place just 7 minutes down the road in Bellevue.
Yes.
So I drove through Bellevue today on the way from work, and there's like 6 or 7 gaming facilities in Bellevue. So there's those, plus these, plus whatever's in Trivoli and Farmington. So that was one of their major concerns that I always heard, was there's a lot of these places already. Yes, this place is potentially different than most of the, especially the ones we have in town, but they don't necessarily differentiate between that. They just hear gaming and alcohol.
If they have alcohol and gaming, a lot of people, I mean, talk to many people, but yeah, the difference between a bar and that was negligible because there was alcohol and there was the gaming in it. You know.
And then it was one guy was very adamant about he would rather have these people spending their money on goods in town that they're going to get something out of instead of just throwing their money into quote unquote machines that are designed to just take their money. Because a lot of these people, I know that's why I asked the age range of the people who go in there, because you generally think, like he said, the little old lady that comes in, right?
Yeah.
Who's on a fixed income and she's spending her money on something that she's not getting anything out of except for that compulsion, I guess, or whatever they want to get out of it, they're getting out of it. But the concern was for the well-being, the financial well-being of our residents, putting their money into something local that would be good for the community and themselves instead of throwing it into a machine, was the general idea. And that they would rather see more family-friendly. Now, I did like that he said they'll have the painting nights and stuff like that and, try to have some family times in there. But obviously, generally, these places are seen as more adult.
Park district holds
Well, I
those
was
too.
going to say the park district holds.
Yeah, they've had all of those things he talks
Exactly.
about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was the general feedback. And the other funny one was the guy who's like, don't ask us old people. Ask the young people. We want stuff that's going to draw the young people in here, But okay, yeah.
And some of those are noble thought, and I appreciate that, but I'm not even going to get to the point that I care what people in town spend their money on. I just think we have enough for the size of community, and I think we increased the liquor license once, and we haven't even seen that come in place yet, And,
Right. Well, not now is an acceptable answer. I mean, the one thing I would add to the discussion is I think if our argument is, and this is just my opinion, they're free, you get what you pay for. But if we're comfortable that a certain level of gaming licenses or liquor licenses make sense, I think it behooves us to spend some time thinking and talking about the quality of the ones that we currently have, and being strategic about how we use those.
Right.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
And I'm not pointing any fingers at anybody that's got the gaming licenses now, but
or future ones that we might bring
if you could wave a magic wand and say, okay, let's take 6 from over here and let's put them over here and let's go from just a bar to something that's a little more friendly, would that make more sense and we wouldn't increase anything? My only point is I think those discussions are probably worthwhile at some point.
Yeah,
Because at some point there may be a restaurant that wants to come, family-owned restaurant, and just throwing this off the head, let's say it's a Italian place. Well, they're probably going to want to serve wine, so then they're going to have a liquor license.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a case by case basis, and
right.
Obviously, a family restaurant coming in wanting to serve alcohol and be full service food restaurants is different than just a gaming parlor,
right?
Like the coffee can. I mean, that was very different than what's in town,
and that I think is the direction that I would personally like to see Hannah City go, is like the coffee can, where
it for sure is different than anything in town.
Right.
A gaming parlor is not different enough for me than just going to the bar. And obviously, with those numbers you showed, our bars aren't maxing out the number of pulls or whatever you want to call it they could have in a day anyway. Those machines are sitting empty based on those numbers some of the day. And Bellevue, 7 minutes down the road on the same drag, you don't even have to make a turn. Right. Once you turn on the highway, you drive past several of them in Bellevue there. They're that far away. I don't. So I'm not in it for revenue's sake. So
No.
I mean, that money's nice, but it doesn't like earth shattering.
You have a guy that does want to make this more of a cafe. Okay, and put this on just exactly what it is as a cafe. If you eliminate the word gaming out of it, you're bringing another food establishment to the city. And the comment of worrying about people spending their money there, if they don't spend it there, they're going to spend it in Bellevue.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Either way, they're going to spend it.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to gamble one way or another with it.
Yeah,
that was just a comment by
a gamble in a cafe. They're going to gamble in a cafe.
Oh yeah,
exactly. I know the state rules are that if you want a gaming license, you have to have a liquor license, which seems confusing.
The one that's attached to Bartonville grocery store up there, I walked in that place one because I like to visit coffee shops. I actually walked in there one day because I thought it was a coffee shop.
Yeah, that's my question. Do you actually even have to have alcohol?
You don't have, you have to have a cooler with a couple of beers in it and a couple of things of wine. I've had 4 of these guys approach me on the coffee can.
So you have to have something. If you have the liquor license, you actually have to have the alcohol there. Or
You can throw it like George said. You can throw it in a cooler behind the bar. It doesn't even look like you have alcohol.
That doesn't solve the gaming issue. I was just
Right. So,
but again, I don't think that it's more of it's not. Obviously, the gaming machines is what's there to make some money, but you also have a cafe. You also have a food establishment coming to town.
Well, if somebody wants to come forward with more of a food first, like an actual cafe, I mean, obviously there's no hood in that space. So the build out would be substantially more expensive to actually put a real cafe in with a flat top and everything and a grill.
There is a hood in the space, for one, and two, you
He said
don't
there
need a
wasn't.
hood.
No, he said there wasn't. They were microwaving their food, so
What's that?
he said there wasn't, and he also said they were just microwaving and air frying their food. You know, that doesn't strike me as a cafe. And I know you said somebody else wants to make it more of a cafe. So if that person wants to come and put something like, hey, we're going to be open for breakfast and lunch, and we're going to have a full menu, and it's going to be a restaurant, we're going to have gaming machines, and that's a totally different proposal. I'm not saying I changed my mind, but let that person come, you know, shoot his shot too.
Sure.
But, you know, the microwave air fryer thing, it's snack food.
Well, I'm going to
It's
tell you.
it's the bag of Cheetos on the table at the party. I mean, you're just looking for lunch while you're sitting and playing food. It's, you know.
So I looked at the microwave thing. We have one in the coffee can that it cooks eggs, it cooks everything, and it doesn't need a hood.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're gonna have a full cafe, I mean, I think of a cafe like preparing hot, fresh food, like grilling hamburgers and stuff, not using a microwave or you know, an air fryer for everything. Yeah.
So I look at Bellevue's gaming for the year. They have 29 machines, and their municipality share for this year so far, up through June, has only been $27,000.
So it's pretty close to 1,000 machine a month.
Where then if I go to Bartonville,
those degenerates.
how many machines do you think Bartonville has?
How many machines does Bartonville have?
40. 84 machines.
That's a lot.
They have 84 machines in the village or in the city of Bartonville. For municipality share is only $106,000. 107 rounded.
A little over
They're doing
1,000
better.
machines. They're doing better per machine. Bartonville is.
Well, you got to also look at the.
but it still seems to kind of go down. The more machines you increase, they aren't making $1,000 per machine.
Right.
Bartonville is at 84 for 107 or 84 machines and 104. They're doing a little over.
Yeah. But you also have to look at the size of the community. What else does that community offer?
Yeah.
You know, you have to. Those are all going to play into.
Well, yeah, Bartonville's bigger. They have more sit-down restaurants. I mean, they have more.
Right.
Yeah, more choices to come there and and do stuff. So
More
there's
people.
80, yeah, exactly, more people. Period. And they're that much closer, bigger metro area too. I mean, they're practically touching Peoria. You know.
So
yeah.
Again, if you'll just indulge me for a few minutes, this kind of led me to a thought exercise for myself, because I know, like, I've only been on the board for a short amount of time. We've already had a few businesses come to us. So I was trying to think, okay, what are some guidelines for at least myself that I can kind of look at these places objectively and think, is this kind of what would be good for Hannah City? So this is kind of what we came up with was, what qualities should we look for in any new business that comes in? Number one, and they don't all have to meet all these. They could just meet one, and I think it would be good. Meets a critical need, like a medical place or a grocery store, right? It's a critical need. Fosters social interaction. That could be a bar, that could be a restaurant, it could be a splash pad type place. Attracts clientele from out of town, like a sports facility or a concert venue. Create buzz that's going to draw people, or like an old franchise that has that's a trusted franchise that would bring people into town. or something that creates a like a knock-on effect for the surrounding businesses. They come to enjoy this one thing, and then when they're done with that, they go next door and they go to the restaurant or whatever it is. So going off of that checklist, I was thinking, what does that facility check off on that list? And it wasn't a whole lot.
Compared to the previous people that came for liquor license and coffee can, and there are at least 3 of them or 3.5 of those items that check off
Coffee
that
can
list.
checks off a lot of those.
Yeah.
And that's why I would love to see
Just because it was the most recent one besides the
Exactly.
liquor license increase.
freshest
So
in the mind.
yeah, besides being novel and the fact that it was not just a repeat of the same thing we have in town, it's a totally novel concept, and it checks off 3.5 of your items there.
Right.
You know,
And I was thinking like, okay, so let's say you have a lot of whatever that said business is.
Yeah.
Would it be good to have a lot of those things, or not so good to have a lot of those things?
Well, there's 134 between the 3 communities, and obviously with the numbers we're pulling on ours aren't being utilized. The ones in town aren't being utilized 100%.
Right.
And I'm not sure those other ones are being utilized 100%.
I mean, even just from a cultural look from the outside towns, you know, do you want to be known as the place that has so many of this certain type of thing?
Yeah.
That has a more diverse cultural appeal.
Yeah.
Draw more people.
I mean, Refuel was great. They did outstanding work. We increased the liquor license for them, and they've been a hit. But
yeah, they've done really well.
You get to a point, you get to a tipping point. I think
And this doesn't necessarily apply just to this thing, or even to this thing right now. It's something that I'm trying to think through.
Some way to quantify it to justify your. Yeah.
Because honestly, I'm not a gambler either, but so my initial reaction was, but that's why I wanted to get some people's feedback and really try to quantify it from a justifiable position rather than just a gut reaction or a personal position, which
I've not talked to as many people as you have, but nobody's been head over heels for it.
And does the Jug have them in Trevor?
I can't imagine the Jug doesn't have them. I mean,
Yeah, that's a place I think they would.
I think every bar's at least throw a couple in just because of the revenue. I mean, I would just assume they would just because, why not?
Yeah, there's an additional 38 in Farmington.
Jeez, they have 38.
Right.
Well, I know they have a gaming parlor downtown.
Well, they have 7 establishments for a total of. Read that number right. For 38, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm allowed to talk in this part, but the Jug has 4 or 5.
Okay. Thanks, Danny. Yeah, because there's Asher's, Benny's, and there's DJC Holdings LLC for the Moose.
DJC's probably the gaming parlor, I'm guessing, downtown.
Yeah. Then you got the convenience store. Yeah, they have their own liquor licenses. They sell packaged liquor. Then there's Istista Corporation, and then Shipface LLC.
Beg your pardon? Wow, it's Ship, isn't it? SHIP, yeah, Shipface LLC. That's Whiskey Dixie's.
We need subtitles on this video.
Yeah, that's Whiskey Dixie's gaming. Yeah, that's the same owners. They must be running a separate company. Yeah, so that's 169 then, if you go that direction. Oh, plus 4 or 5 with the Jug, so roughly 174. If you go 15 minutes that way or 15 minutes that way, we're staying down.
I'm also curious as to these types of venues, once they are established, do they grow? Because they usually
can only have 6 games, so it is what it is.
Right. And you usually don't have a whole lot of employees, so we're not going to be hiring a bunch of people.
There'll be one person there watching it.
Exactly. And it's good for them to not have a whole lot of overhead so they can get more from the machines.
Oh yeah, they're great. I mean, once you get your build out done, you have one person that sits there and watches people game and
make a change, or
you have low input.
So when
you're
I
buying
talk about
soda and water or coffee, Yeah.
Yeah. When I talk about where people are going to spend their money, I don't care where they're going to spend their money. But if we have a say on the places that would be better for the community for them to spend their money, then.
But you're going to possibly hire people, create jobs.
Exactly.
Which in that money comes back.
Which is why I went to, if you had a bunch of those, Yeah, okay, so you
One or
got a
two
bunch that
people.
hire 1 or 2 people, or you got a bunch that hire 10 to 15 people. So anyway, thank you for listening.
No, it's good work. I think what I'm hearing is not now, at a minimum.
Yeah, after talking to the neighborhood, that's where I ended up, was not.
I look at it, if you look in the future, what type of businesses do we want to see our families going to? And is that someplace that I would want anybody in my family to go to? Not really. But that's just my own opinion. So if I'm looking at somebody new coming into town, are they going to come into town just because that place is there? No. No. We're kind of getting away from the family aspect of Hannah City.
My only challenge to us is I think every year when we do the liquor license, should not be a rubber stamp. I think we've got to start looking, and we need to start evaluating our existing licenses. Just because you've got one, in my opinion, doesn't mean, and maybe they all wind up exactly where they are, but I don't know. I made my point earlier that I think if we're going to cap them, we need to look at the quality of them, and what they're doing for us.
And one final note I'll add on is that, I was in Arizona for the past 15 years. I came back 2 years ago. And that whole area down there is being renovated, basically. All the Old Town Gilbert and Mesa and stuff, they're redoing all of that. And what they've done, they can't have gaming machines because it all has to be on the reservations there. So there's none of this type of stuff. Instead, what they did was coffee can style stuff. Places where groups of people want to come, can be younger crowds, older crowds, but they'd have music, they'd have bands, they'd have drinks and stuff like that. And it's a huge draw. It reinvented the whole downtown Gilbert area for sure. It went from just
places like that can do anything. They can do the paint night, they can do the bread, they can kids.
So that's what
There's
to your point. Okay,
Yeah,
thinking
it's
for
more
the future.
family.
Yeah.
If we can
More-
aim it more towards coffee can style stuff, and I just keep
good-
using that
it's good
example.
to have
because it's fresh in my
entertainment,
mind.
but what kind of quality entertainment do we want in Hannah City? Right. That's not really the quality of entertainment I foresee, or that I see my grandkids participating in. Not that type of entertainment. They need something that's more family oriented. This place can't take little kids in there. So you're already wiping out the future generation by not letting them come in there. And that's not what I foresee for Hannah City in the future.
I do like that he was aware of that and was doing community outreach type stuff, like the softball teams and the painting stuff. That's great, but I'm
Yeah,
not
but is he doing that? Is he doing that?
Sure.
Right.
Baseball, I don't think
He's
so.
doing that to put his name out there on somebody's shirt.
Yeah.
He's not really.
There's nothing against it.
Yeah.
It seemed totally
No,
fine.
not
It
at
seemed
all.
like he,
And this
was
isn't
interested in it.
right. Everything I'm saying isn't to harp on one certain person. It's just an exercise as to what we want to do.
Yeah. Mine's just in general.
Anyway,
Great job.
thank you.
Any further discussion?
Yes, I have a quick comment.
Okay,
I'm not
Zach.
sure there's much I can say that hasn't already been said, but if we look at what the pros have been for this, it's strictly the money. I haven't heard anybody say, "Oh yes, we need way more gambling in this town." It's just the money. And are we so hurting for money that we need to open up a whole gambling hall basically in our town? I don't think so. That's pretty much the only observation I have in terms of that someone else hasn't already said.
That's what a friend of mine said. Actually, I was talking to him, and he said, "Have you ever heard somebody say, 'I wish there were more gambling places in this town'?" No, I actually haven't heard that. Now, coffee shops and restaurants and stuff like that, sure. But
As I've said before in a previous meeting, growth is very important, but it's important that we take care to grow in the right direction.
Exactly.
Not just become another bar and gambling hall stop. Don't get me wrong, Refuel is great, but we don't really need too many more of those.
No.
Yeah. It's all case
Thank
by
you very
case. It's
much,
not in
Zach.
general.
I understand.
Yeah.
So, on to the next
that sounds good.
item, two-factor authentication. as far as everybody's email goes, nobody has ever done two-factor authentication before. Everybody should see the banners on their email now, the security banners. If you get an email from somebody outside the village, that just lets you.
Oh, go ahead.
What that does is let you know that the email is from somebody outside of the village. All organizations are doing this. This is a line of defense, security awareness from phishing attacks, because somebody could mimic your email address and then have it say Todd Gates Water, and send it to everybody and be like, okay, you guys need to look at this presentation I got on the sewer. And then everybody opens it and it's a virus. So then everybody has some virus. We have it here. Next thing you know, we're into ransomware and we got
Come to work and everybody's computer screen has a message on it that they need so much money to
unlock it.
We had that at our place about 5 years ago.
Yeah, I had it at my place too.
OSF had
And then we don't get
Our newest employee, our youngest employee, one of our younger engineers at the time, opened an email the night before he wasn't too sure of and thought, well, I'll just verify what this attachment is. And they ransomwared the entire company. So it was,
OSF.
Everybody's screen had the same message on it. We can't.
OSF had it. Spoon River College guy hit one in the spring, in the early spring, March, April timeframe. We actually, they weren't actually a customer yet, and we had to go out and do a security analysis.
I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. We had 10 employees at the time. It's not like we're a heavy hitter, you know.
The good thing about that is it didn't hit their server.
So what kind of flag is going to be on there?
There'll be a banner on your email.
So now if you get one from outside, there's just an orange bar up at the top that's got, I don't know what the writing says, but it basically says this is an external email. Open it with care or whatever.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, there will be.
If it seems weird, if you go back to where it's from, they may say, you know, Caleb board meeting or something, but when you look at where it's coming from, it'll be something jacked up. It won't be something you're used to seeing.
Yeah.
Because we've got some email addresses in our state survey association. Our current president's email gets replicated a lot. And I can't tell you how many times the past president and the current president of IPLSA has sent me an email saying that he needs help with some promotional materials and please send him these gift cards or these Apple iTunes
We
cards.
get here all the time that are supposed to be from Fred.
Yeah.
I'm in a meeting.
Yeah, can you buy these iTunes gift cards?
Yeah, the banner, there'll be a red banner on your email, and it reads external mail. Do not click links or attachments unless you can recognize the sender and know the content is safe. That's your first red flag if it's from any of the board members or from anybody within the streets department or anything. Everybody. So if I just send you an email, it's not going to have that banner. But if it comes from outside, it will. If Michael sends one.
On the ones for Fred,
Bring
we
it.
just started playing along and asked just like an exhausting list of questions. Well, what kind do you want, and how much you want to spend, and have you considered this?
I got one from another surveyor that sits on our state board with me that it actually, I mean, it was really good. I mean, because it said, hey, I got a project going on, need some help with the internet. You know, he's a smaller company like we. So, maybe what's the team up on? And I looked at it, boy, but Norm would have called me first on something like this. He wouldn't just send me a cold email. I even texted him, was like, is this? He's like, no. He says, it was unbelievably realistic. Someone had really put some thought into it, knowing who they were nailing and stuff. It was very targeted, specific to our type of, I couldn't believe,
you know. So two-factor authentication basically is something you know and then something you have. So basically, what you would do is when we decide we want to turn this on, and it is recommended to start doing so, especially with us being a public entity, is when this is turned on, and the next time you sign into your email, it will ask you and say, hey, I need some more information. And what you can do then is you can put your phone number in there and have it send you a code either via text or by installing an app, which is like you can use Google Authenticator, you can use the Microsoft Authenticator.
Will you give us instructions?
Yes.
I hope so, because I'm terrible at this. I usually have my son take care of all
I'll
that.
write him an email.
They do it from an outside email, so I don't have
Yeah, and we're not going to do this right away. I just want to let everybody know that's coming in once we get the instructions set up. This is just to make sure that we're more secure in what we're doing. And Denise, I'll make sure you definitely get instructions on that too.
Yeah, I might need to reset my password.
Yeah, password is not a good password.
Caleb's a jerk. You're not going to use that one anymore?
Make sure you capitalize the J and throw people off.
Since you can't use a password you've used before. So.
Just change the capitalized letters on it. Exclamation
I just wanted to let everybody know that was coming. It'll be at a later date once I get instructions written, and I will make sure those instructions are at a board meeting or emailed to you prior to anything being done. So if you have questions on those before we turn it on. Is there anything else that can come before the board or needs to come before the board? Our next meeting is August 3rd, 7 o'clock. No correspondence, so meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll have those on your desk, Denise.
Thanks.